In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint this adorable winter scene using digital gouache on your iPad. This is a step-by-step tutorial, and this is meant for anyone who has some experience in the app Procreate. Hello and welcome to Color with Kendi. On this channel, we paint digital watercolor and gouache on the iPad in the app Procreate. All of my tutorials are step-by-step and are meant to be followed along, and I have a list of all of the supplies that I'm using today in the description and the pinned comment, so be sure to check that out. So I'm going to tap on the layers panel and let's find the snowbank that was right under the foxes. So I think it was this one here. Yes, it was this one here. And then we had a clipping mask layer. I'm going to add another layer, also make this a clipping mask. And what I do want to do is add a little bit of shadow under the paws. We already have a little bit of color variation under the entire fox, but just under the paws. Right now I feel like the paws are floating. So I'm going to grab this color right here and then make it a little bit darker and closer to gray. So gray is right here. So I'm just gonna not go down at a diagonal. If I went down at a diagonal, it'll become more saturated. I'm just gonna go down straight. And let's see. Yes, that's a nice color. So now I'm just gonna add a few lines under the paw like that. And what I want to do is add in the door and the windows. So let's start with the windows. So the windows, I want them to be a very soft yellow. And I want to do the windows with this same brush, brush 47. So I'm just going to paint in the windows. And as you see, I'm just going to turn the traceable off for a second. So do you see I have a little bit of color variation here. And now I want to do the door. So now I want to add a window frame for all of these windows. And I don't want the color to be too dark. I want it to be relatively similar to the main color of the cottage. So I'm going to pick that color and just make it a little bit darker. And for this, I want to use the sketching and detail pencil A, brush number 1. So it's just one color and it's got a lot of precision. So it has a little bit of texture, but not too much. And now what I want to do is I actually want to go to that cottage layer we had and then make another layer on top and make it a clipping mask. And then I'm going to make the lines across the cottage. So we see those lines in the traceable. I'm going to make those lines with a slightly lighter color. Okay. I think that looks good, but what I do want to do is add a little bit more texture to the house. So remember, we didn't add much texture. We started adding details, but let's go back to that cottage layer, tap on plus, and then what I'm going to do is go in with a slightly lighter color. And with one of the texture brushes, I'm just going to add a little bit of texture. One of these. 35, 36, doesn't matter which one, 37, any of these flat paint brushes. Let's see. Maybe a little lighter. Just going to add a little bit of texture to the house so the color is not so flat. So right now our roof is really flat. It's just basically white. It has minimal texture, and that's intentional, because we were going to add more texture at this point. And then maybe I'll do some pockets where it's a little bit darker like this. And now what I'm going to do is just smudge it out ever so slightly, but not smudging everything out. I'm maintaining some of that texture. Let's finish off the cottage. So the chimney I feel needs a little bit more detail, so does the door. So let's do that. So for the details, I want to use brush 48 for this. I don't need the details to be perfect. And just add a little bit of snow up on the top of the chimney like that. They don't need to be perfect, just a few lines like that. Okay, I think that looks good. So now what I want to do, this is purely optional, I want to add a little bit of a glow around the windows. So what I'm going to do is another layer. I'm going to call this window glow. I'm going to grab this color right here. And do you remember that brush that we used, 31, I believe? Yes, that's the one that we used for the moon glow. Going to use it for the glow around the windows. See, now they're glowing. And then I'm going to go to the smudger 5, and just gently smudge out certain areas. I don't want the glow to be perfectly round everywhere, so I'm just going to gently smudge it in certain areas like that. And now what I want to do is add some of those tracks that I had in the traceable. I forgot about those. Brush number 1. And in another layer, I'm going to add the details. So just going to paint that in. What I want to do is add a fence. So let's draw one fence post in like that. I want to add sparkles that start from the fox and go up into the sky, kind of a magical vibe. So I wanted to improve the window glow a little bit. It's nice, but it could be better. So what I'm going to do is go to the layers panel, and where I have window glow, I'm going to tap on plus and add a new layer. And I'm going to go to brush number 9. Very, very light pressure. I'm just applying a little bit of pigment. I'm going to go to that layer, tap on N, and then change it to vivid light. Just reduce the opacity a little bit. Add a little bit of darkness to this side. I think that looks good. So now I can say I'm done, but you know what? I'm probably going to come back and make some changes. And that's part of the process. That's part of understanding what you like, what you don't like. So now I can say that I'm done. So let's have a look.